I'm Tracy Baxter with today's Record Newswatch. A former City of Newburgh police officer is headed to state prison after being sentenced for faking evidence in a serious hit-and-run crash that he caused back in 2009. 35-year-old Thomas Douglas of Milton will serve up to 3 years in prison for his guilty pleas to the felony charges of insurance fraud and falsifying business records. While off duty, Douglas slammed his truck into the back of a car in Marlboro. One of the car passengers suffered extensive injuries. Douglas drove off and reported an accident 19 hours later, but he claimed he'd hit a deer. A statement made to explain away his vehicle damage and to allow him to collect insurance money. Douglas had been a Newburgh police officer for 6 years. He could have gotten up to 7 years behind bars at his sentencing in Ulster County Court this morning. It's been an eventful week in the city of Middletown, marked by the fatal shooting of a registered sex offender, the shooting death of a gun-toting intruder in the lobby of the city court facility, and a massive law enforcement raid that resulted in the arrest of 23 people on drug and weapons charges. Middletown Mayor Joe DeStefano praised all the police work, but what he doesn't like are the negative comments about his city that have been popping up on Facebook.
People who have been posting things on Facebook that are negative about Middletown, you know, when they look in the mirror and make these negative comments about a community of 30,000 people with a lot of business, a lot of activity, and they're the ones that might have had trouble going to sleep last night because a lot of it's nonsense.
Earlier today, 2 more drug suspects targeted in Thursday's Middletown area raid turned themselves in. The surrender of Jerome Jackson and Hector Bautista, both of Middletown, brings the total number of arrests to 25. The Hudson Valley Safe Streets Task Force is still looking for 8 indicted fugitives. Last night was a night for family and friends to say goodbye to a 6-year-old girl whose life was lost in a fire last Sunday in Monticello. Mourners came to the Van Inwagen Kenny Funeral Home in Monticello to pay respects to the family of little Victoria Erickson. The girl, known as Tori, was remembered for her bright blue eyes and wide smile. Hours earlier, a room inside the nearby Strobel Community Center was filling up with donations of clothing, blankets, non-perishable food, and toys for the family members left behind. Tori's mother, Kimberly Freer, and her remaining children are living temporarily in a motel. They lost everything in the blaze that consumed their apartment on Moon Manor Road. When Kim's high school classmate, Alasha Tillman, heard about what happened, she mobilized the donation drive to try to help Freer and the kids make a painful transition.
That as soon as possible that she will get permanent placement so her kids can get back to their normal routine instead of, you know, being crammed in a hotel room, and get back to their everyday things as much as they can. Of course, they're grieving and they're going to need healing, but, you know, they want to still be children, play with their toys, eat dinner, have a routine again, even though right now is the most difficult time in their life right now. They lost their child. Members of Tillman's Junior Girl Scout troop in Monticello helped out during last evening's drive. She says she's been moved by the community's response to the tragedy. Looks like Hasbrook Park in New Paltz will no longer be occupied by the members of the Occupy New Paltz movement. Those who've been staying in the park as part of the widespread citizen protest movement were breaking camp today after the New Paltz Village Board had decided to order them out of the park by 9 p.m., the time when the park closes. Occupy New Paltz campers had initially argued that the board decision was a violation of their First Amendment rights, but they have decided not to pursue the filing of needed insurance forms and permit applications. The park was one of a number of places in the region where people have publicly expressed their grievances with the government and corporations. And it started as a routine vehicle and traffic stop early Thursday morning along Route 17 near Bloomingburg, but when state troopers approached the car, they noticed a strong odor of marijuana. A vehicle search turned up about 3 pounds of pot with a street value of roughly $3,600. 26-year-old Christopher Callahan of Binghamton was taken into custody and arraigned on felony marijuana possession charges. Weather forecasters are telling us that we'll be waking up to some snow tomorrow.
An estimated 1 to 3 inches is predicted for Saturday before the system moves out later in the day. Temperatures will reach the mid-30s. Sunday will be partly cloudy and colder, with the highs not expected to rise much above 30 degrees. Stay with Record Online all weekend long for weather updates as well as breaking news. And for a complete look at all that is happening, pick up the weekend editions of the Times-Herald Record. For Record News Watch, I'm Tracy Baxter.